Welcome to Comfort Matters, everyone. I'm so excited to kick off our very first episode and dive right into a topic you're curious about.
I'm excited to be here too.
Awesome. So today we're talking all about dehumidifiers.
Sounds good.
You're thinking about getting one and want to make sure you're choosing the right one, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. Well, we've got a fantastic resource to help us out. HvacRepairGuy's 2024 Portable Dehumidifier Ratings.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
This HVAC repair guy seems like he really knows his stuff. His website is packed with reviews and has a color-coded system so you can quickly see, like, the best picks and the ones you might want to avoid.
Yeah, he makes it easy to see what's what.
So you're looking for a dehumidifier that's effective, reliable, and won't break the bank.
Right, who isn't?
Right. Let's see what the repair guy recommends. He jumps right in with his top picks. AEOCKY, Emerson Quiet Cool, and Honeywell.
All good brands.
What makes these brands stand out? What are the highlights?
Well, AEOCKY has a built-in ambient light, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it's not something you usually see in a dehumidifier, but hey, why not add a little ambiance, right?
Gotcha. What about Emerson Quiet Cool? Are they really as quiet as they claim?
They are known for their quiet operation. And some models even come with a 3-speed fan.
So you can adjust the airflow and noise level.
Yep, that's right.
Nice. Now, Honeywell, that's a name everyone knows.
Yeah.
What makes their dehumidifiers special?
Well, they've embraced smart technology. Some models can even be controlled with Alexa.
Oh, wow. So you can just say, Alexa, turn on the dehumidifier.
Exactly. It's all about convenience.
It is super convenient. But does voice control actually make a difference in how well a dehumidifier works? I'm just curious.
I mean, it depends on the person, really. For some people, yeah, it's a great feature, especially if they already use a lot of smart home tech. But if you're someone who prefers to just set it and forget it, it might not be worth the extra cost.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered the top tier options. What if you're shopping on a tighter budget?
Well, HVAC Repair Guy has a yellow category for those picks. You know, brands that are decent but might involve a few trade-offs.
Gotcha. So, like, which brands fall into that category?
Danby and Amana come to mind.
Okay, so what kind of trade-offs are we talking about here?
Well, both Danby and Amana have had safety recalls in recent years. Danby in 2022 and Amana in 2021.
That's a bit concerning.
It is. It's definitely something to keep in mind.
It's a reminder to always do your research, even if a brand seems familiar or budget-friendly. Safety should always come first.
Absolutely. You're right.
So we have our top picks, our budget-friendly options, and then there's the not recommended category, which seems pretty long.
It is a pretty extensive list.
I know, right? So we won't go through every brand, but do you think it's valuable to at least understand why he's advising against them?
Absolutely. I think so.
Like, it's not just about saying, don't buy this, but actually understanding the reasons behind the recommendation.
Exactly. It helps you learn what to look for and what to avoid.
And to make your own informed decisions. Is there a specific example you can think of that illustrates this?
Well, there's one that stands out. It claims to be super quiet, but user reviews say it's actually quite noisy.
Really? Wow. That's frustrating. Why would they even make that claim if it's not true?
Well, not all brands are created equal, right?
That's for sure.
That's why it's so important to have resources like HVAC Repair Guy who can give us honest, unbiased reviews.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's dive into some of the specific features he mentions. We hear a lot about smart dehumidifiers these days.
Right.
What exactly does that mean? What makes a dehumidifier smart?
Usually it means it has Wi-Fi connectivity and you can control it with an app. So you can do things like monitor the humidity levels remotely, set schedules, and even get alerts on your phone.
So, like, you could be at work and tell your dehumidifier to turn on if things start getting humid at home.
Exactly. Some models are even compatible with voice assistants.
It is amazing what technology can do these days. It's like having a personal humidity control center in your pocket. But let's not forget about the core function here.
Yeah.
Removing moisture from the air. HVAC Repair Guy talks a lot about different types of refrigerants used in dehumidifiers.
That's right.
And it can get kind of confusing. Why is the type of refrigerant so important?
Well, different refrigerants have different environmental impacts, and dehumidifiers use refrigerants to cool the air and remove moisture. So it's important to choose one that's environmentally friendly.
Okay, that makes sense. So what should we be looking for?
Right now, the best option is R32 refrigerant. It has a much lower global warming potential compared to older refrigerants.
Got it. So I should look for a dehumidifier that uses R32.
Exactly. It's a small thing that can make a big difference.
I like that. Small choices, big impact. We've talked about smart features and refrigerants.
Mhm.
What about capacity? How do I know what size dehumidifier I need?
Pool capacity refers to how much moisture the dehumidifier can remove in a day. It's measured in pints, and it really depends on the size of the space you need to dehumidify and how humid it is.
So a larger space or a more humid space would require a higher capacity unit.
Exactly. The bigger the problem, the bigger the dehumidifier you'll need. Speaking of which,
Yeah?
have you ever wondered how these things actually work? HvacRepairGuy talks about something called Peltier technology sometimes.
Peltier technology. No, I have no idea what that is.
It's a different way of dehumidifying. Instead of using a compressor like traditional models, Peltier dehumidifiers use a temperature difference to create condensation and remove moisture.
So no compressor. Does that mean they're quieter? Because honestly, some dehumidifiers can be so loud.
Yes, Peltier dehumidifiers are generally much quieter. But
There's always a but.
the trade-off is that they usually have a much lower capacity.
Ah, okay. So they're good for smaller spaces or areas with mild humidity.
Exactly. If you have a serious moisture problem, you'll probably want to stick with the traditional compressor model.
Makes sense. So we've covered brands, features, refrigerants, and even different technologies.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. What's standing out to you so far? What's catching your attention?
It's fascinating to see how dehumidifier technology has advanced. We're seeing such innovative designs, smart features, and a growing emphasis on sustainability.
I totally agree. It's way more than just drying the air these days.
It is.
What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah.
What are you finding particularly helpful?
Honestly, just learning about all the different options and what to look for has been really helpful.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. We'll dive even deeper into more features and considerations after a quick break.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It is. And HvacRepairGuy really does a good job of highlighting those advancements in his reviews. He doesn't just focus on the basic specs.
Yeah.
He talks about design and user experience and all those little details that can really make a difference.
It's great. He's giving us that inside scoop, helping us really understand what sets a good dehumidifier apart from a, just okay one.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of those details, HVAC Repair Guy often mentions things like auto defrost and multi-speed fans. Can you explain what those are and why they're important?
Sure. So auto defrost is basically a feature that prevents the coils from freezing up.
Okay.
It's really important if you're going to be using the dehumidifier in a cooler environment, like a basement or something.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like a safety net for your dehumidifier.
Yeah, you could say that. Now, those multi-speed fans, those give you more control over the airflow.
Okay, how so?
Well, a higher speed means faster moisture removal, but it can also be a bit louder.
Makes sense.
A lower speed will be quieter, but it'll take a little longer to dehumidify the space.
So it's kind of trade-off between speed and noise level.
Exactly. And having those multiple speeds allows you to customize it to your needs. You can crank it up when you need things to dry out quickly and then switch to a lower setting when you want it to be quieter.
I like it. Options are good.
Yeah.
And then some dehumidifiers have built-in pumps while others don't.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that?
Well, a pump allows you to drain the water continuously.
The water that the dehumidifier collects, you mean?
Right. Even if the unit isn't near a drain.
Okay.
So you don't have to empty the bucket all the time.
So it's a convenience thing.
Pretty much. It just depends on your setup, really.
Right. Makes sense. So far, we've got auto defrost, multi-speed fans, built-in pumps. Any other key features we should be on the lookout for?
Well, we touched on smart features earlier.
Right. Wi-Fi connectivity, app control, all that good stuff.
Yeah, those features can really add a whole other level of convenience and control. You can monitor and manage your dehumidifier from anywhere.
It's amazing. Okay, but now I want to talk about something that's really important to me. Aesthetics.
Oh, okay.
Can a dehumidifier be functional and stylish?
Absolutely. I think a lot of brands are realizing that people care about how their appliances look.
Right. I've even seen some that look like pieces of furniture, almost.
Mm.
And they come in different colors, too.
Yep. It's not just a big, clunky white box anymore. There are some really sleek and modern designs out there. And HvacRepairGuy actually showcases some of those in his reviews.
Oh, tell me about it. I love seeing those innovative designs.
Well, one that comes to mind is the Medea Cube. The dehumidifier unit actually fits inside the water tank when you're not using it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super clever for saving space. And then there's also the Comfort Air BCD Cube. It has a similar design. It's really cool to see how brands are getting creative with these things.
It's true. It's not just about function anymore. It's about the whole experience, having something that looks good in your space. And that's what I like about HVAC Repair Guy's approach. He takes everything into consideration: performance, aesthetics, the whole package.
Yeah, he really does.
He's like that friend who gives you the best recommendations. So speaking of good advice, what about maintenance? What are some essential tips for keeping our dehumidifiers in top shape?
Okay, so the most important thing is regular cleaning.
Of course. Where do we start?
You want to start with the air filter. A dirty filter restricts airflow, which means the dehumidifier won't work as efficiently.
Okay.
Check your manual for how often to clean it, but a good rule of thumb is to at least check it every month.
Got it. Clean the filter. What else?
And then, of course, you want to clean the water bucket, too, or the condensate drain line.
Oh, right.
That'll prevent mold and mildew from growing.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Definitely not. And if you do have a condensate drain line, make sure it's not clogged.
Okay, good to know. Anything else?
Yeah, it's good to check the coils every now and then, too.
Yeah.
And make sure there's no dirt or debris. You can clean them with a soft brush or a vacuum cleaner with a brush attachment.
Good tip.
And the most important thing, always unplug the dehumidifier before you start cleaning it.
Right. Safety first. So, let me just recap. Clean the filter, the bucket, and the coils.
Yeah.
And unplug it before cleaning.
Yeah.
That seems pretty straightforward.
It is. A little maintenance can go a long way. It'll keep your dehumidifier running smoothly for years. But, maintenance is just one part of the equation.
True.
We also want to make sure we're choosing the right dehumidifier in the first place.
Right. And with so many options available, it can feel a bit overwhelming. What advice would you give to someone who's trying to make that decision? What are the key things to think about?
Well, I think the most important thing is to really define the problem you're trying to solve.
Define the problem. That sounds so simple.
It is, but people often overlook it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Because a damp basement, that's a different situation than, say, a bedroom where you just want to manage a little bit of humidity.
So it's about understanding the why behind the purchase.
Exactly. Once you know the why, you can start looking at things like capacity, features, and budget. And speaking of budget, we haven't really talked about cost yet.
Oh, you're right. Let's talk about that. What's the price range for dehumidifiers? What can people expect to pay?
Well, it really varies depending on the capacity, the features, and the brand, of course. You can find smaller, basic models for under $100.
Okay.
But then those bigger ones, the ones with all the bells and whistles, those can cost upwards of $500.
Wow. Okay. So there's a pretty wide range. So it's definitely something to factor into the decision.
Absolutely. But you don't always have to go for the most expensive option. There are plenty of great dehumidifiers available at different price points. It's all about finding that sweet spot, the best value for your needs.
Finding that sweet spot, I like it. And I think we've done a great job today of exploring those different options and what makes a dehumidifier good or bad, thanks to HVAC Repair Guy's ratings and insights. But there's one other important factor we haven't really touched on yet: energy efficiency.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep.
Especially these days with the cost of energy going up, it's definitely something to keep in mind.
For sure. Does HVAC Repair Guy talk about that at all?
He does. He actually provides energy consumption data for every dehumidifier he reviews. It's measured in kilowatt hours.
Wow, that's really helpful.
It is. You can really see how much electricity each model uses, so you can factor that into your decision, along with everything else.
Awesome. I love that he's thinking about all of these different aspects. And, speaking of being mindful, we briefly touched on environmental considerations earlier with the refrigerant types.
Right.
Choosing a dehumidifier that uses R32 refrigerant, which is the most eco-friendly option, are there any other ways we can reduce our environmental impact when it comes to dehumidifiers?
Yeah, proper maintenance is always a good place to start.
Right.
Making sure it's running efficiently, not wasting energy.
Yeah.
And choosing an energy efficient model in the first place, obviously. But also thinking about the lifespan of the dehumidifier.
Okay.
If you buy a model that's known for its durability, that means you won't have to replace it as often, which reduces waste.
Oh, that's a good point. It's about that long-term thinking.
Exactly. And HVAC Repair Guy actually talks about that a lot in his reviews, this idea of making choices that are good for both our homes and the planet.
I love that. He's not just a dehumidifier expert. He's a sustainability advocate.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well said. Okay, now we really need to address the elephant in the room: noise.
Oh, yeah.
We mentioned it briefly before, but some dehumidifiers can be so loud, and I personally really value peace and quiet in my home.
I hear ya.
So what should we know about noise levels?
Well, some dehumidifiers are whisper quiet, while others sound like, a jet engine. And HvacRepairGuy actually measures the decibel levels of each model he tests.
Wow, he thinks of everything.
Yeah, he's pretty thorough, so you can actually see how loud a dehumidifier is before you buy it. He includes that information in his reviews.
That's fantastic, especially if you're planning to use it in a bedroom or somewhere where noise is a big concern.
So now let's talk about the most basic question. How do we even know if we need a dehumidifier? What are the telltale signs?
That's a good question. A lot of people don't even realize they have high humidity. Some common signs are like a musty odor,
Condensation on windows, air that feels sticky or damp, and sometimes even mold or mildew growth.
oh yikes. Those are some pretty clear indicators.
They are. And high humidity can not only be uncomfortable, but it can also damage your home. It can cause wood to warp, paint to peel, and it can even make allergies worse.
That's no good. So a dehumidifier can be a lifesaver in those situations.
Absolutely. It can really make a big difference in creating a healthier and more comfortable living space.
Well, even with all this incredible information, I still think choosing a dehumidifier can feel a bit overwhelming.
I know, right?
So what's one key takeaway our listeners should keep in mind as they're making their decision?
I'd say remember this. The best dehumidifier isn't always the most expensive one or the one with the most features. It's the one that best meets your specific needs.
It's about finding that perfect fit.
Exactly. And that's what all of this information from HvacRepairGuy is really all about, helping people make those informed decisions.
I love it. Now, HVAC Repair Guy talks about a lot of different brands and models, but I'm curious, what are your personal preferences? If you were choosing a dehumidifier for yourself, what would you be looking for?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, for me, reliability is key.
Makes sense.
I want something that's going to last, something that's well built.
Yeah,
And energy efficiency is important to me too, trying to be mindful of my impact on the environment and all that.
absolutely.
And then, of course, noise level. Like we were saying before, I really value a peaceful environment.
Those are all great points. And I think there are things that a lot of people consider when making these kinds of decisions.
For sure.
Find a dehumidifier that's dependable, energy efficient, and won't drive you crazy with noise. That's the dream, right?
That's the dream.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground today thanks to HVAC Repair Guy.
We have.
But there's one last thing I want to touch on.
Okay.
Placement. Where's the best place to actually put a dehumidifier to make sure it's working effectively?
That's a great question. Placement is actually really important.
Yeah.
Ideally, you want to put it in the area where you have the most humidity problems.
So if it's a damp basement, put it in the basement.
Exactly. And make sure there's enough space around it.
Okay,
Don't put it right up against the wall or furniture because that'll block the airflow.
got it. So it's all about maximizing that airflow.
Yep. You want the air to circulate freely around the dehumidifier. And one other thing, try to keep the doors and windows closed in the room where the dehumidifier is running.
Oh, that makes sense.
That'll prevent humid air from outside from coming in and making the dehumidifier work harder.
It's like creating a little humidity-controlled zone.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, placement is key. It really can make a big difference in how well your dehumidifier works.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I've learned so much.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up completely, I just want to reiterate the importance of choosing the right dehumidifier for your specific needs.
Yeah, that's so important. It's easy to get distracted by all the cool features, but at the end of the day, you want a dehumidifier that actually solves the problem you have.
That's it. And that's what all of HVAC Repair Guy's research and insights are all about, helping us make those smart decisions.
He's done all the hard work for us, really. He's tested all the different models, so we don't have to.
That's right. He's our dehumidifier guru. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up this episode.
Okay, sounds good.
But we'll be back next week with another deep dive.
Can't wait.
Until then, stay curious, stay comfortable, and stay tuned for more Comfort Matters.